Number 10. The school. This person recounted their story of how their school seemed to suddenly change. They started a new school just a few years ago and remember exploring the school for the first time. They have a clear memory of walking up a flight of stairs to get to the second floor, seeing 2 water fountains to the left and the bathrooms to the right. They didn't return there for a while as it was on the opposite end of their classroom and they had no need to go there. The next school year they walked down to that end of the school again and realized that the staircase was nowhere to be found and there was no second floor at all, merely a blank wall remaining where the stairs had been. He wasn't the only one to remember it either, a few of his other friends having memories of the second floor. There was also no record or evidence of the second floor having potentially been demolished in that time, a potential glitch in the matrix putting a staircase where there had never actually been one.
At number 9, aliens. Over the years, we've spent billions of dollars trying to get to outer space and trying to find signs of extraterrestrial life or any past lives on other planets. Despite all of our best efforts, we haven't been able to find any aliens. This theory goes that the reason we haven't been able to find aliens is either because they're the ones running the simulation in the first place, or it's possible that if they are part of the simulation, they may be more advanced than us and have possibly found a way to escape. It's also possible that maybe the computer just doesn't have enough RAM to simulate another planet's civilization. This is all to say that maybe if we were able to find aliens, then we'd finally get the answers that we're looking for.
In our number 8 spot today, we have a computer virus in a DNA strand. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. In 2017, a group of researchers from different scientific backgrounds at the University of Washington proved that they were able to put computer code into DNA strands. My brain is honestly unable to even comprehend this, but apparently it's true. The whole goal of the research was to be able to prove that computers that work in gene sequencing were very vulnerable to cyber attack. It seems as though they may have proved a little bit more than what they intended. I'm truthfully not very familiar with DNA strands or computer viruses, so I don't really know what this means, other than the fact that it's entirely possible what we perceive as our biological makeup may really just be some computer code after all. If this is the case, I'm really upset that whoever is controlling our simulation didn't just make us at least a little bit more resilient.
At number 7, experimentation. You know how it seems like the world is always on the brink of absolute chaos? Environmentally, we are always just one wrong move from ending humanity as we know it. Certainly a bit stressful for us, but maybe this is on purpose. It is possible that we may have been created as a simulation in order to help whoever created us figure out their own climate and environmental problems. It would be crazy because if they can make a simulation that feels this real, then surely they can figure out their own problems too, but that might not be necessarily true. If we really are in a simulation, they may have created us to be better at that sort of thing than they are. It is possible that if we solve enough of their problems, then they might just come back to Earth or whatever planet we end up on in order to reap the benefits from our hardworking scientists.
In our number 6 spot today, we have no evidence. This one is actually a little frustrating, to be honest, because it should be so simple. This is just the theory that it is most likely we are living in a simulation due to the fact that we absolutely cannot prove that we aren't. As much as a lot of us would like to believe that we aren't, or maybe it comes down to the fact that we can't let go of our egos enough in order to be able to believe, anything we think or any evidence we think we have would have all been simulated. If we do in fact live in a simulation, it is possible that whoever created it would prefer that we didn't come to the realization that our reality isn't ours at all. I'm not gonna lie, this whole theory is actually kind of frightening because it is most likely that we won't actually ever know the truth.
At number 5, it's all a joke. Sometimes things just happen in our world that are just weird. Who could have predicted that Donald Trump would become president? Or the time that the Patriots were down 28-3 in the Super Bowl and came back to win the whole game? Or that weird Oscars envelope mix-up that was just really, really awkward. Anyway, this is all to say that weird things happen in our world all the time. Some things that no one quite saw coming and quite honestly seem kind of strange. This theory goes that whoever made our simulation may just want to have a little bit of fun. Or maybe our simulation is malfunctioning and they're trying to get us back on track. Either way, this could be an explanation for those weird things that just seem to happen.
In our number 4 spot today, we have the Goldilocks zone. You know how we are located in such a great spot in our solar system? Just far enough from the sun that we don't absolutely burn up, but close enough that the sun helps sustain our life. This is what is commonly referred to as the Goldilocks zone, since it is just right. This lends well into the idea that we live in a simulation because of the fact that whoever created us most likely wants us to be able to survive, so of course they would place us in the most ideal location for life. I would definitely like to ask them why they made the sun so harmful as well, because that seems like an oversight, but I am willing to look past it for now, considering there isn't anything I can do to change that.
At number 3, math is a lie. You know how we have rules, like the laws of physics, or just the scientific and mathematical rules that our world just seems to follow that we had to figure out? Well, some people believe that those laws are proof of us living in a simulation. If we lived in a video game, at some point we would also discover that there are rigid rules that cannot be broken no matter how hard you tried, almost like it is mathematical or scientific. So something like the speed of light, which is the fastest rate a particle can travel in our world, might just be the time it takes to transmit information in our simulation. All of the rules we think we've figured out might just be more proof that we do indeed live in a simulation.
In our number 2 spot today, we have our own simulations. This one has to do with what we are doing that could possibly prove the existence of a simulation. As humans, we are getting better and better at creating our own simulations. In 2014, the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics connected 8,000 computers to create a 350 million light-year simulation of our universe and digitally aged it over 13 billion years. Or, for a more simple example, let's take The Sims. This franchise sold over 125 million copies in its first decade, so it shows that we are absolutely interested in creating our own simulations. If we are this interested in it, why would we assume that whatever other forms of life exist out there aren't also as interested as we are? This one might make you think next time before you decide to delete the ladder to get out of the swimming pool in your Sims world.
And finally, at number 1, we are the simulation. This one is pretty simple, but also might be a little confusing. We all live in our own reality and no two are the same. Whatever we perceive in the world is slightly simulated by our own brains. What I mean by this is that we use our past and our memories to process information that we are currently receiving, whether we do it consciously or not. Who is to say that anything we see looks the same to anyone else, or anything we taste tastes the same to anyone else? We all live in our own little world, and that in itself might be proof that we are in a simulation. There is no true reality that we share 100%. It is all based on the individual.
In our number 10 spot, we have the same shirt. In this instance, a man was out at a restaurant and was about to eat a meal when he discovered something weird. The man seated behind him had the same shirt as him. But if you think that's funny and a bit strange, imagine a third man seated in the seat behind the second guy, and he had the same shirt on too. What are the odds that 3 people with the same shirt would be seated in 3 consecutive tables, one after the other, in the same place? Definitely a glitch in the universe.
Number 9, tomato soup. This person described their glitch in the Matrix, also thinking it possible that they may have fallen into a parallel universe. Him and a close friend were working on a creative project together, and they met each week at the same restaurant to go over the progress and discuss their work. The restaurant they always visited had a wall that was lined with jars of Caesar dressing and vodka sauce, knowing that these were the exact things on the wall as they would examine them and even read out the calorie contents. Their father then passed away, and in an attempt to get back to normal, he decided to meet up with a friend at the restaurant again the week after. But when he got there, he realized that the walls were now lined with jars of Caesar dressing and tomato soup instead of vodka sauce. While they could have just swapped them out, he says he asked the staff and they said they had never had vodka sauce on the wall. The person believing that the shock of their father's death caused them to experience a glitch in the Matrix. Number 8, different language. This person shared the fact that they had always been a sleep talker and even a sleepwalker. His family apparently never being able to distinguish whether or not he was awake, as he would always have his eyes open. He tells a story of how he had been close with his freshman roommate in college, him not minding the sleep talking as he would find it amusing to hear what the person had to say. One night he apparently started talking in his sleep about wanting a hamburger, the roommate replying that, well, everything was closed. The person insisted they needed a hamburger now, and the conversation continued like this until he eventually fell back asleep. When he woke up, his roommate said to him, "I didn't know you could speak Spanish." They had apparently had the entire conversation in Spanish, despite the person not actually knowing the language. The roommate had studied Spanish for many years and swears that he was totally fluent. The roommate's girlfriend, who had been on FaceTime that night, even backed him up, saying that she too had heard him speak in Spanish. Number 7. Outside reality. This person was on a trip with his friends floating down Lake Powell, going deeper and deeper into the canyon. He suddenly had a thought cross his head that it was so beautiful it looked fake, like it was specifically designed to be that way. As soon as he thought it, his friend turned to him and said, "Dude, it feels like we're in a movie and we're looking at movie props. It looks so fake." The two mildly freaking out about how they seem to briefly share a brain cell. A little later on, he said he experienced what he describes as an altered state of consciousness, saying he felt like the facade of the human experience was dropped, and all his friends looked like angelic beings enjoying Earth. At the same time, the same friend turned to him and said, "Dude, look at our friends. They're so beautiful and alive, they look like angels." He says he believes they were able to see past the simulation and tap into the true reality. He also clarifies that they were both sober, and it wasn't just the trip of a lifetime. Number 6. Zombie. This person, who works in the admitting department of their local hospital, believes they experienced a glitch where the past changed and somebody came back from the dead. A few years ago, one of their co-workers in another department passed away, him being responsible for processing the co-worker's obituary. The co-worker's daughter was good friends with their cousin, so they saw her at the co-worker's house after the funeral, holding a large ceremony for the mother. Then recently, the co-worker's daughter walked in, saying that her mom was in the ER. The person was obviously confused, as they knew that the girl's mother was dead. Due to being so shocked, a co-worker had to step in and look up the girl's mother, showing it to be the woman who died years ago, but she was actually alive and in the hospital. The person not being able to find the obituary that they had processed. When they spoke later, the girl said that other people had also been coming up to her about the situation, saying that they too remember her mother dying. Number 5. Supernatural children. This person described how she believes her child glitched in the simulation, or perhaps was having her superhero origin story. Late at night, she heard her 2-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son talking and giggling in their bedroom past their bedtime, so she went in to check on them. When she stepped into the room past the gate, she could make out their dark forms, each on their bed, and their voices coming from the 2 distinct places. As they were talking to each other, she felt something brush the back of her leg, but ignored it as she thought it was just one of their cats, still hearing her daughter's voice clearly coming from the bed as they spoke. She then turned around expecting to see the cat to remove it from the room, but instead saw her 2-year-old daughter suddenly behind her. She says she heard no footsteps and didn't see her daughter leave the bed, her voice still coming from that area. She believes that there was a glitch in the simulation, causing her daughter to teleport. Number 4. Body swap. This person tells a story of how someone they know apparently swapped bodies, a glitch causing them to appear as someone different. She and her husband had 2 neighbors across the street, another couple. The wife was a tiny blonde woman who would often wave across the street, and they would chat occasionally. Eventually, the blonde woman went into labor and was taken to the hospital. When they returned, she saw a woman get out of the car with the baby, but instead it was a tall, large brunette with dark skin. Assuming that it was a relative who was helping with the baby, she and her husband brought over cookies and spoke to them. That's when she realized that the woman wasn't a relative, but the wife. Same name, personality, and everything except her body was now completely different. The poster's husband remembers the woman as having been blonde as well, them making jokes about having wife swapped at the hospital, much to the confusion of the neighbors. Number 3. The moon. This person was driving down the road with his mother when they both experienced the sky glitching. They were driving down a completely straight road to the theater on July 2nd when they were stopped at a red light, looking up and admiring the moon against the sunset. Just a few minutes later, they were going down that same straight road when they looked up again and saw that the moon had moved a significant distance. The mother, noticing it it as well and even looking scared at the thought. They then arrived at the parking lot and saw that the moon was still in the moved position, the person suddenly feeling the urge to look away. They say that they wanted to stare, but it felt like some sort of force was stopping them from looking. As soon as they felt like they could look again, the moon had suddenly moved back to the original position in just a few seconds. Them and their mother with no idea how to explain what had happened. They looked it up on Twitter and only found one other person saying, "Did the moon just move?" Number 2, the town. This person lives in a very rural area and as a result knows every town and road that's nearby. One day he was going to a different county to look at a lawnmower, another area that he was very familiar with. Well, on the way there, he drove through a town that has never been there before. It went by the same name as a small community that was normally there, but instead of just a few houses, there were now stores, cafes, and street lights. Confused, he had to pull over and try and figure out what was going on. All the buildings looking brand new and clean, a contrast to the other towns surrounding it. He went into a cafe and asked the girl working there where he was, her responding with the same name of the small community. When he asked when all of it was built, she responded with the 1800s. Confused, he quickly left and continued on to get his lawnmower. And on the way back, all the new buildings and stores were gone again, only the small old community standing in its place. Number 1, teleportation. This person was driving home from work with their coworker to the place that they were staying at. They had driven the route a few times already and knew it pretty well. It was about a 7-minute drive and was a straight path until a turn into the hotel. They had made it pretty far and were about a block away, the sign visible at the side of the road. But then suddenly, they weren't. They looked around and saw that they were on a highway about to take an exit ramp 20 minutes away from their destination. Both him and the coworker having experienced the same thing. The time on the clock still reading the same time it had outside the hotel. Ever since then, he says he feels disconnected from life and disoriented, like something is still wrong. A glitch through the simulation potentially making the person realize that everything is not as it seems.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect began being widely recognized when people began to swear that they could remember Nelson Mandela passing away in the 1980s. This is of course weird since he actually passed away in 2013. This is obviously a huge time discrepancy, so people were very confused. This is of course how it got the name the Mandela effect, and it basically is the theory that whoever is responsible for this simulation we live in has gone back and changed some things. There is an alternate belief that the Mandela effect shows that there are multiple universes or alternate realities, and this is just a result of us crossing from one to another. Other really famous cases of the Mandela effect are the Bernstein Bears, where some people swear it used to be spelled with the ending being S-T-E-I-N, while all copies are now spelled S-T-A-I-N. Or the popular peanut butter brand called Jif, there are people who swear it used to be called Jiffy. This one, however, is my personal favorite. There are people who remember there being a movie called Shazam where Sinbad played a genie. A lot of people speculate, though, that they are just getting it mixed up with a movie where Shaq played a genie called Kazam. I definitely remember the Bernstein Bears one and the Shazam one, so I just might be a believer that this all really is a simulation.
In our number 9 spot, we have Time War. This is a story told by a Reddit user who took the same route to get to work every single day. This route would be 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back. With traffic, it was a bit more. So, anyways, it of course blew his mind when one day he went the same route to work and got there in 30 minutes, which he says is impossible. He checked his phone and sure enough, he saw a text from 30 minutes prior about leaving the house. Till this day, he is convinced that somehow he went through a glitch in the Matrix. This actually has happened to me before, but it was as if I was sleeping on my drive home, as I don't remember getting from one place to the other. Maybe it's best I just don't drive. In our number 8 spot, we have the triple van. If you thought the same t-shirt was weird, then what about the same red van that's the same make, year, and model, all in a lineup, one after the other at a toll booth? Mind blown. If that is not a glitch in the universe, then I don't know what is. Unless they are all besties who have the same things and decided to get the same cars, this is truly wild. What do you think? Is this proof that we probably live in a simulation? Let me know in the comment section below. In our number 7 spot, we have couple swap. I love this one as it is truly very, very strange. In this photo, you see 2 couples at the same restaurant and they appear to be wearing the opposite of each other, but they look quite similar. The man on one side is wearing pink and the man on the other side is wearing green. The woman on one side is wearing pink and the woman on the other side is wearing green. They are the exact same shades of these 2 colors, and what makes this picture even weirder is that the men both have white hair and the women both have black hair. If you were to put a mirror between them, it would almost be like they are from different opposite dimensions. In our number 6 spot, we have the 3 blondes. Another photo that I'm sure is proof that we are living in the Matrix, y'all. This is a photo of 3 women on a bus that have the same 80s blonde blowout, are wearing black leather jackets and blue jeans. Also, they are all seemingly sitting the same. Whoa, this is wild to me. I hope someone on the bus pointed this out to them so they could all meet their real life doppelgangers. Did 3 different versions of the same woman from different dimensions collide for this one bus ride? I sure hope so. In our number 5 spot, we have the remote. This story sounds a little bit more like they may be housing a ghost rather than it was a Matrix glitch, but since the latter is what this Reddit user believes, I'll leave that up to you to decide. Apparently, a woman and her husband lost their TV remote and could not find it anywhere, that they decided to order a new one. Naturally, on the day the remote was being dropped off, this woman went to her door to get the remote from the delivery person, brought it inside, went to her couch to sit down and watch TV, only to look down and see her old remote sitting in the middle of the carpet in front of the TV. What? That's too crazy to not be a ghost, right? I don't know. Maybe it was a Matrix glitch. Would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. In our number 4 spot, we have the milk cartons. This one is so movie-like, it's creepy. A man was pouring himself a cup of tea, and as always, he put some milk in his tea. He heard the doorbell ring, so he put the milk in the fridge and then went to answer the door. When he came out, he saw the milk beside his tea. He thought, well, that's weird. I thought I put the milk in the fridge. So he goes to put the milk in the fridge, and lo and behold, there are 2 milk cartons. He swears that he never bought a second milk. Whoa, this was definitely a glitch of the Matrix. Please, universe, let me experience something like this in my life. In our number 3 spot, we have the prediction. This Reddit user was 40 years old and recently divorced and just chatting to an employee at the time when she suddenly saw a flash in her mind of her being married to this employee and with 2 kids, and they were living somewhere hot. Flash forward to 5 years in the future where she is actually married to this guy, has 2 kids, and he just recently got a promotion to move to the Middle East. Is this one a glitch or a psychic prediction? And are glitches just psychic predictions? I think possibly yes, but curious to know your thoughts. In our number 2 spot, we have 2 women eat times 3. In this photo, there appears to be 2 women in 3 consecutive booths, one after the other, and they are each wearing the same color or a version of the shade in the exact place. Each woman seems to have similar hairstyles, with the color only changing slightly due to the age. Many people have speculated that the picture shows us 3 alternate reality dimensions where one of the women is older or younger, her hair is a bit shorter, etc. And I would have to agree. How is this even real? How did all of these women choose the same restaurant, and how are they seated beside each other? Huh? Clearly this photo is a blip in the Matrix and showing us 3 realities. In our number 1 spot, we have the bald spots. This photo is crazy. So crazy that it just had to be in first. What are the odds of 5 men with the same bald spot all sitting on the same bus in a seat that is one after the other? How? Something happened in the Matrix that day, clearly, and it created this blip. This is honestly magical to look at. Seeing this just brought the biggest smile to my face and put me in a state of wonder about the mysteries of the world that are yet to be discovered. I hope it did the same for you.